Hey, peace, love, and blessings. Peace, love, and blessings. It's another time of sharing, and I just wanted to share with you. Still talking about the wilderness experience, ascending to your Christ, your highest self, your Christ self. And I'm just going to share some of my experiences that I've experienced on this journey of becoming aware of who I am in God. So before we start that, let's get into a quiet state of sitting in the silence. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, hold it, and let it go. Take a deep breath, hold it, and let it go. Take a deep breath, hold it, and let it go. Let's just sit in the silence. All right, take a deep breath, hold it, let it go. Take a deep breath, hold it, release it. One more time. Take a deep breath, hold it, and release it. Well, we're gonna get right into it. Still talking about the wilderness and still talking about how we have different experiences on this journey as we're going through this experience of in the wilderness. And the wilderness is just our different challenges that we go through that lead us into our higher self or into the Christ consciousness. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about on that journey is that you learn the voice of spirit, or you learn, or some people say the voice of God, or you learn your intuition. And the way that I learned that is through the different experiences that I had. And some of the things I'll share with you is I remember one a couple years ago, um, my mother had gotten sick, and I was living with my mother at the time, but I wasn't there at the house at the time. I was at my nephew's house. And I remember just laying on my nephew's floor for a minute and just, just chilling out. And I remember hearing within myself that my mother was going to get sick. The voice said, "Your mother's going to get sick and she's going to be in the hospital for a while, but she will be all right." And sometimes you hear those feelings or you hear those thoughts and you say, "Did I just hear what I just heard? Is that really? Is that really spirit? Or is that just me talking?" And so I heard it again. And so I paid attention. And later on that evening, I had gotten a call from someone that my mother was she was ill and that I needed to hurry up and come back to the house. And so when I came back to the house, I saw that she was ill. I rushed her to the hospital and everything. And the doctors told me that they was going to have to keep her for a while. She was there basically almost a whole month, almost 2 months. And but I remember hearing Spirit saying she's going to be all right. And I just held on to that. And at the end of that period, God did what He said He was going to do. He brought my mother through. But the whole thing that Spirit had stressed to me was that my mother was going to be all right. And it was that knowing that she was going to be all right, and trusting in that spirit of intuition that was in me, that was leading me and guiding me to trust in Spirit, that I held on to that, and everything worked out all right. There are other times, when God just speaks to us through different thoughts and symbols. Sometimes it's a flash of a thought that it comes quickly, and you just have to pay attention. Some people will say, well, I can't hear from God. I used to always say, I want to hear from God, or I want to hear Spirit, or I want to hear Spirit talk, But Spirit is always talking. It's just that we have to take the time to listen and take the time to pay attention to when Spirit is talking, and know that Spirit is always talking. There's never a time when Spirit is not talking. It's just that we may not be listening to when Spirit is talking to us. That's why I always encourage people to meditate and to pray. I always encourage them to sit in the silence. It's always wonderful to pray and talk, but it's all the greatest prayer that you can do is you can sit in the silence and allow yourself to be still. And the answers and the solutions and everything else that you need will come to you at the time that you need it. As you're sitting in the silence and in that quietness, Spirit is also preparing you. You're being strengthened. You're being renewed. You're being attuned to Spirit. You're becoming sensitive to the Spirit as you're sitting in the silence. There's a scripture that says, let all the earth keep silent before Him, for the Lord is in His holy temple. A lot of people think that when that's talking about that, it's talking about the church, or when we're in a church building. But no, when the Bible's talking about let all the earth keep silent before Him, that's talking about your body. Let everything within you, let everything within your mind, everything that's going on with you, all that has happened to you throughout the day, let all of that be silent, for the Lord is what in your holy temple. And when you acknowledge the presence and the Spirit of God, that divine presence within you, then you can be led by that Spirit, because then what? You are open to hear the presence of God. God, like I said, God speaks to us through symbols. He speaks through us through our feelings, our intuitions, and we just have to be open to it and realize that, it's through that guidance that you feel within your belly. God, the scripture says, out of your belly shall flow rivers of living water. It's whenever something happens to you, you don't ever feel it here, but you feel it here in your gut. It's down in your belly where the Spirit of God, where you feel the presence of God, or where you feel something happening. So it's always good to do, whenever you're in a situation, always do what they call a tummy tuck. Or you can always just say, David said, God, when you speak to me in a way that I can understand it. Ask God to speak to you in a way that you're able to understand what He's saying to you, and clearly. And Spirit will do it. It's just that you have to be open to it. I usually do the tummy tuck, or I always ask God, I get that feeling down in my belly, in that lower part of my regions where the Spirit of God dwells. And I get that nudge to either to do it or not to do it, to wait or to go forth, however it may come. It's just that part of just listening. So I encourage you to listen, to the Spirit of God within you. I encourage you to listen to that divine presence within you. And as you do, you will find yourself being blessed. And another thing, different things that you can do to help yourself to get in that mood. Some of you, to get yourself relaxed, some of you may want to light a candle, and just sit in a dimly lit place and just allow yourself to just settle. Because whatever you do, you have to make sure that you're in a place where it's quiet and where there is no disturbance. Your phone isn't ringing, nobody's not trying to bother you, people aren't talking to you. You have to sit in a place where it's quiet. Or some people like to hold crystals, and just, or some people just like to meditate and say a mantra or say words that over and over again to themselves. Or some people just sit in the silence and just allow themselves to just be still. Whatever it is, however it is that you can get into the silence and allow yourself to be still and get in contact with the divine presence, then do it. Do it. Do it, because as you do it, you will find yourself being blessed. You will find yourself being elevated. You will find yourself being led by the presence and the Spirit of God, and you will build a relationship with the divine presence of God within you, where you'll trust your spirit. You'll trust the guidance of your spirit, where God will lead you and guide you on your journey. All right. Until next time, peace, love, and blessings.